Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog at stampwithelaine.com. Now, the Petal Park Bundle, which is this stamp set and a punch, comes from the Regency Park suite. This is a huge suite because it actually has two bundles in it. The first one is Petal Park, and I'll cover the second one, Sentimental Park, in the next video this Friday. So it'll be in two parts. It's on page 30 to 33. So I'm making a sympathy card with the Sending Support celebration stamp set, which you can get free if you spend £45 excluding shipping and handling. The Petal Park Bundle is £36, but if you add the designer series paper, which is this Regency Park 6x6 inch designer series paper, you will be able to qualify for the celebration stamp set called Sending Support. These have got some lovely messages in it. Some days are harder than others. Sending loving thoughts and prayers. Hope today is one of the easier ones. There are so many ways you might feel right now. Alone shouldn't be one of them. Here for you always. And then there's also some more cheerful ones. Good luck. It's okay not to feel okay. You've got this. My shoulder is yours. And courage is being really scared and doing it anyway. So this is my card. It's an accordion fold on the front. And I've layered it in the inside to counterbalance the weight, and also I've put the flowers here so that the card doesn't topple over, so if you want to display it, it will still stand up. But if you don't have the flowers, then this will just fall over because it's too heavy. In the suite there are also some textured shimmer paper, the Crane Weave 3D embossing folder, the ribbon, and adhesive backed milky dots. I didn't use the ribbon in my card because I was conscious of just getting up to the celebration level so you could qualify for the stamp set. I didn't want to exceed the amount. These are the adhesive backed milky dots. They come in 4 colours, and that's the ribbon. I did use the Cane Weave 3D embossing folder from the suite. The inks I'm using are Balmy Blue, Night of Navy and Soft Succulent. Let's run through the cardstock you need. So this is the card base. It's half a sheet of A4 cardstock, and this measures 8 1/4 inches by 5 7/8. In Europe, that's 21 centimetres by 14.5 centimetres. Then I have 2 Night of Navy matte layers, one for the front and one for the inside of the card. And both these measure 3 7/8 by 5 5/8. And in metric, that's 10 centimetres by 14 centimetres. The one in the front has to be embossed, and the one inside is to counterbalance the weight of the front. And then there's a basic white matte layer that goes on top, which you can stamp on. And this measures 3 3/4 by 5 1/2, which is 9.5 by 14 centimetres. And you want 2 1 inch by 3 7/8 inches basic white for the label. So that will be 2.5 centimetres by 10 centimetres. And I'm going to glue these two pieces together because I want it to be fairly sturdy. A long white piece, which is the accordion fold, and this measures 4 1/4 by 11, and in metric that's 10.5 by 27.5 centimeters. So this is the piece you need to score, and you score at, with the long side at the top, you score at 1.5, 3, 5.5 and 8. And in metric that will be 4 centimeters, 8 centimeters, 14 centimeters and 20 centimeters. So let's fold this accordion fold and crease it at the same time, so it's back and forth. Okay. Then you need the designer series paper from Regency Park. So these are 6 by 6 inch sheets. So I think what I did was I just cut it at cut the cardstock at 4 inches and then set that aside. And I really wanted the stripes to go vertically rather than horizontally. So I cut it off this way so that I could orient these pieces going top to bottom rather than side to side. Now these have already been cut down, so just imagine that from the 6 by 6, if I've cut off 2 inches from one side, I'm left with a piece that is 6 inches by 4 inches. So I orient the 6 inches at the top, and then I cut one piece at 1 1/4. The second piece I cut at 2 1/4 inches at the top, and this one was 3/4 inches. So if you add it all together, that will be a 4 1/4 inch piece by 4 inches. Do you follow? So let's say this is panel 1. So panel 1 is 1 1/4 inches by 4 inches. So let's glue that on. Then on panel 2, which is this one here, I want the floral side to show. So let's glue the 2 1/4 inch by 4 inch one on here. Make sure it's level. And then on the last one, I want the stripes to show. So that will go along here on the edge. Like so. Bring back one of the Night of Navy matte layers and put it in the embossing folder. And then run it through the machine, and you only need platform 1 and the grey plate, platform 4. And now run this off camera. Bring back my card base and glue this on. And also bring the matte layer in for the inside of the card and glue that on as well. So I'm going to do my stamping first. I'll stamp here. There are so many, this is from the sending support, there are so many ways you might feel right now, and I'm worried about the ink getting onto the cardstock and also my hands, so I shall clean it as soon as I stamp and make sure my hands are clean. It's already smudged there, as you can see. Here's a tip with this flower here, which is this small flower here. If you make sure that you mount your stamp in the same direction, then it'll be easier for you to stamp the flowers So this is the filler, and I'm going to stamp that in Balmy Blue. And I want one in the middle here. Now to stamp the leaf. And I'm going to use this solid stamp off first, and then stamp over the leaves. Then I'm going to stamp this sentiment, it's okay not to be okay. Now that that's stamped, I can put adhesive on the back of this card. Make sure it's the right way round and that it's positioned equidistant from the top and the sides. So that's the front done. Now we want to do the inside. Now remember I said you needed the inside to be 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. Well, I'm going to stamp on a larger piece of basic white cardstock, and then I'll trim it down to that size. Because I've set up my stamp apparatus, it won't stamp on a smaller piece of cardstock, so I've got to do it on here like so. Swap plates round, ink it up in Balmy Blue this time to stamp the inside of the flower. Now I swap plates, and in order to line up the stamp you want these two petals in the groove here. You'll see when I stamp. So I'll stamp the outline first. What I mean is that these petals will have to go in the groove of that stamp. And it's quite difficult to see like that. Switch plate over. Now I stamp the solid side. And you can use two different coloured shades of green, one darker and the other lighter. So the outline you need to do in the darker colour and the lighter one to fill inside. But I find that if I use the stamp off method, I get much better results. See? Now the reason I use a bigger sheet of paper is because then I can butt it right up into the corner of the stamp apparatus and it keeps the paper rock solid. But if I start messing around with stamping away from this solid right angle corner, then there's a danger of the paper slipping and not staying in the same position. So it's just easier to stamp on a bigger piece of paper and then trimming it down afterwards. I forgot to record it, but I've trimmed that down now to 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. So all I have to do now is glue this bit in. Leave an even border all round. So stamp the flowers again. So I need it for balancing this bit here. Put in. Bring in the punch and punch the flowers out. Make sure it's all got even border all round it. And then just punch. I need to stamp 3 leaves. And stamp off each time. Now, you see, if you stand the card up like that, it's going to tip over. You can't really see, but it's this from the top, but believe me, it will tip over. So you want to punch out a blank, the blank to marry up with the top. Once you've punched out the second flower, you only want to glue the bottom bit, so you leave one side open. Okay, like that. Then you put glue on the inside of that and on the inside of the other, and open up the ends like that and sandwich it in. And then don't glue it down yet. You want to find the bottom petals in line with the base of the card. Then you can pinch that together and glue the back flower to the back of the card and the front flower to the front of the card, okay? And then when you stand the card up, that will hold and it level. Then you want to put one on a dimensional, pop it around there, a smaller one here, pop it around there, and then insert the leaves with a glue dot. And then on the inside, I want to stamp "My shoulder is yours." Stamp "Some days are harder than others" in the middle. Now I'm going to make a flag end, so cut, say, about ½ inch in, and then from either side cut toward the centre. Then I'm going to put this piece on top of that, get the angle right, and cut toward the centre there. Same with this. Just the dotty one, and I'm just going to stamp here and down here. So all that's left to do is just apply adhesive to just this panel here. So I'm butting this label up to the edge so I know roughly where to put the adhesive. And there you go, there's the card finished. So that's the inside. I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. It's an accordion fold sympathy card, or a card with support, and this is how it opens on the front, and you've got that to balance it so it doesn't topple over. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll be back with part 2 of this suite with the Petal Park Bundle. Thanks for watching. Bye.